uniform, their first number, their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. We help players develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills, receiving and finishing from different situations such as volleys, headers, one-touch, and off the dribble, with and without pressure. In addition, we help players increase their speed of play, dominate with their off-the-ball movement, awareness of space, defenders, and teammates. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, as well as large groups and team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country. We've also developed one of the most detail-oriented training programs to help out players. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. For more information, visit our website, evolutionperformancetraining.com, or text or call 248-818-3943.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75. Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
We like to do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club.
Join today, starting at just $24.99 a month.
Are you looking to grow here in 2023? Let the Michigan Soccer Network help you and your restaurant fill more seats. Help you and your law firm get new clients. Help you and your dental practice find more patients. Find more roofing customers for this upcoming summer. And to help you and your medical practice find new patients. To learn more or get started, visit MichiganSoccerNetwork.com.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister.
I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Basecamp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Basecamp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Back to Vitriol. He'll take a shot, and he'll bear it! And then he'll fire it from Billows, and it'll go in! Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Oh, and both goals so far. He'll fire one, and that's a wonderful save, opportunity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone! And the... He'll fire one now from distance, and that is in! What a strike by Ben Maher! Well, there it is. It is Thursday morning. It is March the 2nd, and you know what time it is? It's morning overlap time here with Jonathan and Steve. Steve, man, welcome back.
Thanks, John.
Well, you're welcome. Under the weather a little bit this week, and but back to normal, which is good. I seem like a lot of people are under the weather here lately, and but either way, it's the morning overlap. It's Thursday. This past Tuesday, we had a really, really good show. Craig Hearn from We Are Soccer joined us. We had the MLS soccer. We had the U.S. men's national team conversation on Tuesday. A good conversation. Today, our conversation is: do you feel disconnected from the MLS, especially here if you're in Michigan? I think this is a really, really good conversation, Steve, for us to be having. A lot of things changing, with the MLS now that they moved away from linear TV and now into the Apple TV streaming platform. So we'll talk about that this morning as well. But, first things first, if this is your first time joining us here, we are now available on all platforms, so LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. You can check us out at any one of those platforms. Always come back here on demand to watch us on YouTube. Hit subscribe, share this with your friends, family, all those things, and we appreciate your support. So this morning, disconnected from the MLS. And Steve, I want to just kind of jump in here right away. We've talked. I went to my first ever MLS game here this past summer. We talked about that on previous shows, and looking at it from that perspective, I'm really disconnected from the MLS. Right? You had been to an MLS game before, correct?
Yeah, I'd been to one as a kid in Chicago, and then I think that's it. I think that was the only one I've only ever really been to one. I've been to U.S. men's national games and qualifying women's games, that type of thing, but one MLS game.
And you think about that for a second. Here we are. we are like one of the larger bodies of soccer players in the country. One of them, based on our size, 90,000 kids play soccer in this state. I would argue that probably a very good large chunk of them have never been to an MLS game. Now, they may have been to a game where an MLS team was playing, and that's happened here at Keyworth Stadium, right? We've seen the Columbus Crew come in. Sorry, not Columbus Crew. Oh, it was Columbus Crew. Yeah, Columbus Crew coming in here. They played them. Columbus Crew lost in that game in the U.S. Open Cup. We've seen it with the Michigan Bucks when they've played teams. I think they've played Chicago Fire and a number of other teams here in Michigan. So that's different because the environments are different. If you've been to an MLS stadium, and granted, Keyworth is a very, very intimate and unique stadium, but that is not the same as walking into a Columbus Crew stadium or Chicago Fire stadium. They're different animals and different beasts, so to speak. But anyways, the reason why we want to talk about this and being disconnected is that there are 29 teams now in the MLS. 29 teams. There are 14 teams in the Western, 15 in the East. There used to be 28. The new team coming in this year, St. Louis, the newest expansion. Now, Detroit had an opportunity here years ago, a couple years ago, to be part of this recent expansion, and they didn't make it because of a stadium situation. And the MLS, rightfully so, has requirements, Steve, to get it. Hey, they want you playing in a soccer-specific stadium. Why? Because it lends towards making the game better. right? Now, there are certain cities like Atlanta that I think got a pass on that, right? They got this unbelievable football
Yeah, I'm
stadium
not
that-
sure what. I mean, they were able to sell out early on and have really good success down there. So props to them. But yeah, the most of the situations, and I'm not sure if that's exactly why Detroit didn't get a team. I know that's definitely the trending belief that the major reason why is they had no specific, stadium for soccer. I'm not sure if that is completely the sole reason why. I think there's a lot of belief that just it won't work here. And I don't agree with it by any means, but I think there is a belief that
An MLS team wouldn't work here?
That it wouldn't work here, and I strongly disagree. I mean, there's a lot of belief that a lot of the fans that exist here, will stick to their local Detroit City and Ann Arbor and Grant. Listen, it's a completely different level of play and talent level, but I'll be the first to say, like, I'd be the first in line to go get season tickets. Like, you put an MLS team, give me a reason to care. And we talk about that disconnect. News broke this morning. I'm not sure if you saw this or not, but NBA basketball player Giannis Antetokounmpo and his brothers joined in a partnership group, now own a stake of the Nashville FC team, or SC, excuse me, it's Nashville SC in the MLS. And this is, breaking news this morning on Twitter and across MLS and such. And you talk about disconnect, like, and I read it this morning, and it was just, okay, passed it by. Because to me, like, awesome, good for Giannis. I'm sure I know he's loved the game. He's a huge Arsenal supporter, so I love that about him. But he wants to get involved, and his brothers, and gets involved with Nashville, and that's great. But, like, to me, like, it doesn't affect much because I don't have a stake in the league. I don't have a team to care about. It's hard to say that I put an allegiance towards a Chicago or Columbus because they happen to be regionally the closest. Should I care about the Colorado Rapids because my team, Arsenal, Stan Kroenke, the owner, owns the Colorado Rapids? No. So it's hard to latch on. There are some big players that play in the league, but they also get sold quickly, and they don't get marketed the same. Well, I should say they don't get marketed the same, especially here, because we don't have a team. We don't have a team visit, away teams coming in all the time, and you get to see those other players. So, the disconnect here is hard, especially with, I think you and I can attest to how much people love the game here. The soccer fan base here in the state of Michigan is insane. And for Detroit as a media market, for a television market, for us to not have a team is baffling. I mean, you think about all the other startup leagues that have started in the AAF, the USFL. There are Detroit teams, and there are Detroit teams in other leagues, whether it's the pro lacrosse leagues and the NBA G League and those things. Detroit is always, considered a big enough market to attract it, and so it's extremely frustrating as a soccer fan to see time and time again expansion. This league started with 10 teams, John, in 1994, right? And 96, whatever it was, and
96,
10 teams, and we are now almost triple that at 30 teams, and Detroit is still yet to have a team. And we've had a team. We had the Detroit Express. We've had the indoor teams with the Detroit Rockers and the Detroit Neon and the Detroit Ignition. It's not been, everyone knows that it can work if done right. DCFC is proving that on the smallest scale from a buildup. It can be done. It's just they have to find, and unfortunately, I don't think they can put a stadium in the city limits. It's just feasibly probably not going to work.
I'm going to take a step back just for a second, and there's a lot to unwrap in what you just said. Because I agree with you. I agree with you that I think for a long time, the way in which the MLS looked to expand teams into areas probably didn't make the most sense. And the reason why is that, to get someone to commit to something without really knowing what it's going to be like is really tough. I think a lot of these new teams that are popping up that are like, oh yeah, we're offering these. Like, for example, Gold Star FC, for example. Before they haven't even announced the location of their stadium, they were offering season ticket packages. Now, how can anyone commit to that? And this is nothing against Gold Star, but a lot of teams do this. They release out, very general information and say, become a season ticket holder, for $50, make your deposit. Well, that's how it used to be in the MLS, right? Especially when the Michigan Bucks were taking charge of this back many years ago. It was all about, we need to get to like 10,000 season ticket holders, and then we'll get an expansion team, people. Well, the problem is if you don't know where you're going to have your games at, and you don't, who's going to commit in Grand Rapids if they don't know they're going to be in Detroit or vice versa? There's a lot of, nuance to that, which is uncertainty makes people not feel comfortable. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty around that. I don't think that the MLS is looking at Detroit as not a feasible place. I think the problem is the identity in Detroit, right? I think our identity is the problem, right? We have a strong Detroit City FC is the logical team to be in the MLS, right?
Sure.
Based on their success, based on their notoriety. I mean, they are if we look at Michigan as a whole, it is Detroit City FC. They are the biggest team in this area, right? They draw the most fans. They've been very successful. And they are the identity, I think, of Michigan soccer professionally, right? Because they are the highest that they can be. I mean, there are other teams that you could argue maybe have some small footholds in there. There was a Grand Rapids team once upon a time that had a good face. They had 6,000 people coming to games, but they fell through, right? Didn't work out. So Detroit City, so the logical choice. Well, if you bring an MLS team in, the team that happens to have the biggest fan base and currently has the identity of the Michigan soccer community, and they're not going to be a part of it, like that to me is the disconnect. And I'm not saying it's DCFC's fault or the MLS's fault, but realistically, I find it hard to believe that the inner workings of Detroit City FC would not want to have an MLS team. Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to money, there's people that can hunt it. But I mean, like if you're sitting there, the founding members of Detroit City FC sitting here 10 years after they started this thing, aren't going, man, we could be an MLS team. Like seriously, I mean, like that's the pinnacle of the sport in this country. But I think
the problem is that MLS represents the way that MLS goes about business, the way that MLS is viewed by a lot of people in this country. They don't want to do business and they don't want to become part of that system. And I think that's where the foundation of a club like DCFC doesn't want to succumb to those certain things that they're going to be made to do. And because of the nature of somewhat of the pyramid system that exists right now, they can still have success without joining MLS. Does it do a disservice? Yeah, but that's not their job. Isn't to take DCFC and turn them into an MLS club. If that were to happen in branding and this and the other, it happens. But their job is to run the club to what they can, and the millions of dollars upon millions of dollars and things that come with making an MLS club is pretty ridiculous. So, I don't think that will ever be a thing. I don't think Detroit City FC will ever be the MLS team. If there was some agreement to buy them out, keep them in there, and then also create an MLS club, and maybe, but I just don't see it. It's too grassroots born. But you're right. It's the image that is the club that would take Detroit into MLS with the biggest following and the most united fan front going forward.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna ask you. I want you to answer when I get back. An audience, okay? If Detroit City is not it, then who is? Do you guys start from scratch? Because if you're bringing an MLS team here in Michigan, it's gonna never happen. And they are on the map still for expansion. Who's it gonna be? Because if an MLS team comes to Michigan, the Detroit City FC that we know and love will not be the same Detroit City FC anymore. Period. You're going to lose fans because the fan that wants to watch a domestic league and there's an MLS game on Saturday night and there's a Detroit City FC game, where are you going to be? Might be at the MLS game.
That's a lot more. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there, so you tell me. Before we go to break, though, it is Thursday. It's Granite City Thursday. It is App Thursday. $6 apps. Spinach artichoke dip, flatbreads, chicken tenders, and towers. $3 Granite City pints, and $6 GC growlers. A lot going on. Tomorrow is Fish Friday. It's Lent. Tomorrow's Fish Friday. So head over to the Granite City at the corner of I-75 and 16 Mile in Troy, or at the corner of 7 Mile in Haggerty in Northville. We'll be right back here. You're watching the Morning Overlap on the Michigan Soccer Network. Are you looking to grow here in 2023? Let the Michigan Soccer Network help you and your restaurant fill more seats. Help you and your law firm get new clients. Help you and your dental practice find more patients. Find more roofing customers for this upcoming summer. And to help you and your medical practice find new patients. To learn more or get started, visit MichiganSoccerNetwork.com. Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Basecamp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Basecamp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan. Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
We're just saying action. Go. And action. Hi, we're the Tilly Sisters.
And check out,
We're the Tilly Sisters.
check out our journey on the Michigan Soccer Network.
You weren't looking up. Hi, we're the Tilly Sisters.
And you can check out our journey on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Do it around the, all right. I'll just go like this. All right. Oh, wait, what do we say?
Get maximum results in half the time. Basecamp Fitness in Troy will open this month, offering 35-minute high-intensity interval training HIIT workouts for the whole body. Lock in the founder's rate and scan the QR code on your screen now. Basecamp Fitness Troy is located at 443 East Big Beaver Road. To inquire about a membership or amenities, call 586-416-1800 or visit basecampfitness.com.
As we welcome you back in here to the Premier Sports Center Studios, 23 Mile Road in Shelby Township. All things soccer, baseball, and golf simulators and much more here at the Sports Center. So, we when I continue this conversation, I asked you a loaded question. I know I did, and I did it on purpose. I really did. I mean, Steve, and we can argue all day long about what will change. But right now, there's no competition. And what I mean by that is, for Detroit City FC, the only competition they have probably is good or bad weather. There's no, I mean, for the drop-off between a USL championship team to the other leagues that are around here locally, there's not much competition.
Okay, and I mean that because the fan that's going to a Detroit City FC game does not understand the hierarchy of soccer in this country. They don't necessarily understand that USL Championship is the highest available caliber of team.
That's why I disagree with your point that you think that the Detroit City team wouldn't be the same if an MLS team came here. First off, if Detroit City FC is not the team that became the MLS team, yes, of course, it would be a startup team. It would be out of Detroit. Listen, they're not going to put a team in Grand Rapids. They're not putting a team in Ann Arbor. They're not putting a team in Lansing. They're not putting. It's just not going to happen. As much as there could be fan bases and people would travel. Again, it could work, but they're not going to do that. The way that these big leagues operate and market, not going to happen. Could the stadium be in the suburbs like the Pistons played in Auburn Hills or the Lions played in Pontiac? Sure. Could a stadium be put in Novi or Bloomfield Hills or somewhere and they call it Detroit? Absolutely. However, there is a good portion of fans that go to Detroit City FC games that want to watch better soccer. Yes. And there is a good portion that on similar nights are going to probably choose to go watch a higher level play and go to an MLS game. Agreed. However, a majority in my mind of the people that are there supporting DCFC either now plays for DCFC Club, the youth downriver, west, north. Now they just announced yesterday the expansion of the DCFC downriver. So they have their youth program, which is now highly involved and integrated into families supporting that club. Plus, you have a bunch of people, and I will tell you, there are a majority of those fans that could care less about higher soccer, don't even care about soccer, but they literally go. I have personal friends, people I know, who I know have no interest, never played the game, don't even like soccer. Talk to them all the time. They'll message me, when are you going to be at a DCFC game? And they don't care about it because they're there for the experience. They like the feel of the small stadium, the taco trucks. They can get to my food. I can get my beer. I don't have to wait in a long line. There's 7,000 people here, and I can enjoy this experience for $10 a ticket, sing along in a crowd, do all this stuff, and they don't care about the product on the field.
And that's fair. I don't disagree with you on that. But
and I don't think that's going to go away.
The Detroit City FC cannot continue to operate at a $10 ticket for the rest of their time.
Oh, of course not.
So at some point in time, that's going to increase. And when that does,
sure.
And again, right now we're talking about this because there is not a team. Detroit City FC is a tremendous product. They do a fantastic job. I've been to their games. I've been to multiple games. I've been to the stadium. I mean, they do a fantastic job. And what they were able to do from when they started to where they are today is truly remarkable. And I said it before, it cannot be replicated in this country. There is no way that you can take that exact same thing and work it out the way that it went and end up here. Okay, so it's not possible. And so, but when we talk about this with the fact that the MLS is the quote unquote, it is the pinnacle. It is the domestic league here in this country that rules all. And while you might not like how they manage their leagues, which is not uncommon at every league level, I mean, we hear it all the time at these amateur leagues about how they're ran. They're all leagues are run terribly. No different than almost companies on some level have a beef about how they're run, right? So we know that. But with keeping that in mind, right now, there is, if you're a Detroit City FC fan, it's a Saturday and you want to go watch a game. The only thing you're competing with in the summertime is baseball.
Oh, for sure. There's
aside from weather.
Outside of other games, I mean, Flint City, what will be Gold Star FC now. So there will
Michigan
be
Stars.
Michigan Stars.
But they don't draw more than a couple hundred fans to their games.
Sure, but now there will be now some other options that expand. And you're right. No, Detroit City doesn't have a whole lot to compete with, which is why they've gotten, and they've also done a good job of getting the attention and partnering with the Detroit 4 major sports teams where, they've been honored at and have nights where there's Lions players and Tigers players and Red Wing players coming to these Detroit City F games, which is huge to get other fans to say, oh, I'm going to go there because, Dylan Larkin's going to be there. Or at the time, maybe, Matthew Stafford or whoever, the Pistons players or Lions players. And so that's huge. So they've created this connection of being that other major sports team. As much as, it doesn't get the same coverage on the news or the media or the newspaper or talk radio all the time. Fair. But they've done a good job of creating that connection that they act like they are that 5th pro team here in Detroit. And I think I just think there's a very big fan base, a large amount of this fan base of DCFC that you would have asked them 5 to 8 years ago, and they wouldn't have given two hoots about soccer. And they may not really now, but it's more than, to me, there's so many people that now that club is more than soccer. It has nothing to do with what's on the field.
And I told this before. I said this, yeah.
And so I think there's that connection. So I don't think it will. May it change a little bit? May they only ever really settle down at 4,000 to 5,000 fans all the time? Yeah, maybe. But I don't think it's going to drop to a couple hundred fans. I just don't ever see that type of drop off.
I don't think that. And again, but going from 7,000 fans to 4,000 fans on a balance sheet is a tremendous number.
100%. So, not a good way. But I'm not saying that's where it could go. If an MLS team, could there be potentially be a shift? Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about what ifs. There is not an MLS team here.
What if we did?
I know, but what if we did have one, right? And I'm saying this because being someone who went into, for the first time ever here this past summer in August, went to an MLS game at the Columbus Crew Stadium against a New York team. I'm telling you, like the everything about that stadium was fantastic. You know, they have reserved seats for their band, you know, and standing up, and it's only for them, right? And for their supporter group, right? Same thing that you have like a Northern Guard, right? At Detroit City, there's the whole other side, that east side of the stadium is designated specifically for Northern Guard supporters. That's where if you go to a game over there for the first time and you have family, don't go there. To start your game, maybe go the other side first, kind of work your way into it a little bit. Because it could be, it could be quite the experience. But the reason why I say this is that what Detroit City FC is doing locally here with their stadium, with what they've done at Keyworth Stadium, is happening right now in these MLS stadiums. Probably in a higher level scale, right? Maybe a little more luxury to it, or newer and fresh or whatever. But they are still able to get that same type of feel. And I'm just, all that I'm saying is that if an MLS team were to come here to Detroit, that Detroit City FC would be, I think, the one that would take the biggest hit from the soccer community. With their fan base and with their money. And I'm not saying that because I don't think that Detroit City is a great product. I'm just saying that if something's going to give, if you are a family who has made it an effort to go to a handful of DCFC games every season, you might now only go to one of those games and now take the rest of that money and go spend it, go to 3 MLS games. Because you and I both know that the MLS comes here, that they're going to ingrain themselves in this community as well, and they're going to try and get kids from all these clubs to come and be at the walk on the field and all these other things. They're going to hold camps, and those things, because of the bankroll of the MLS, there's no way that these clubs can compete with that. And that's where some of this is going to suffer. I think a lot of that is going to have an impact.
Suffer, yes. I think in some ways, I think, again, because of the moves that they, like specifically Detroit City have made, where they have those youth programs, I think there will always be a connection to that club as long as it exists and operates on that scale, because of just the pure numbers. I'm with you. I mean, if it came to, I want to watch better soccer, and it's nothing against what the USL. It's still plenty of talent coming in through the USL.
Away from We Are Soccer, it's saying an MLS team wouldn't survive in Detroit. What I want to know is, what does that mean? When they say they don't survive, does that mean that they're not going to? Because if an MLS team came here tomorrow and became an expansion team in this state, a fifth team, you're telling me that team wouldn't work?
No. I think, and I'm not sure if maybe this is specifically what Craig and We Are Soccer, whoever was commenting in from the We Are Soccer show, appreciate it, guys.
No question.
Is that there is such a hardcore following with certain clubs here that there will be fans that go to MLS games, 100%. But there'll be people that go. But you're not going to create an environment like you see at other MLS clubs, like you see at Detroit City, because those things a lot of times happen organically. The Seattle Sounders joined MLS in 2009, but before that, they were a USL club, okay? And they were a USL club that had a rabid following, and they took that team and moved it in, like you were talking about, trying to move City in that type of idealistic world. That's their following stuck, and it survived because it was that same base. I don't think if Detroit gets a team, that it will be MLS. And so we'll struggle. Like, I'm with you. I understand that there is a money and the logistical side of what MLS can spend, how they can integrate themselves into the community and take over as far as being that first, there. But Detroit City has not, if this has been 2 or 3 years into Detroit City's success, I could see it happening a bigger decline. But, man, there are people that, love their OCFC, their Livonia City FC, their Ann Arbor, they were the Oaks, weren't they? Ann Arbor FC. Anyway,
yeah.
Grand Rapids, Lansing, the Lansing Common, whether it's Michigan Stars, which will be Gold Star now. It's spread out in this community so much about the amount of amateur, semi-amateur teams. And because we haven't had MLS for so long, the people of Michigan have really connected to these small clubs. And you can bring MLS here, and that's fine. And again, people will show up to games.
Yeah.
But you're not going to create, at least initially, until they have success, until they give you reason to, you're not going to have that vast following. And I'm with the thought that really I don't see a Detroit City having that big of a drop-off, because there are so many people that still care because they were there before MLS. They were there before MLS ever gave us a shot, and we're still waiting for that shot, I guess.
It's true. It's true. So I got a question for you, Steve. I'm going to give this to you for the break here. When we come back from break, we'll answer this question. I'm going to ask you all of you as well. We Are Soccer. Put a percentage on how diehard a DCFC fan is, or local fans in general are, that if an MLS team came to Michigan, they would still be with that team. Percentage-wise, 25, 30, whatever it might be, okay? Because I firmly believe that there are a lot of fans out there in these local communities that are just looking for something to hang on to, and if someone to come on, off they go, loyalty out the window. Just to put it out there. Just put it out there, all right? Anyways, the FC Barcelona Soccer Camp is an exclusive opportunity to learn the mythologies of the unique Barca style. FC Barcelona coaches will arrive here later this summer and to conduct training sessions and teach you the techniques of one of the most successful soccer academies in the world. Coming this July 3rd through the 7th, Barca is coming to the Legacy Sports Center in Brighton, Michigan. Scan the QR code to register at camps.fcbarcelona.us. Use the promo code FCBMSN and save $30 off registration. You're watching the Morning Overlap with Steve and Jon. We'll be back here on the other side of the break.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
Clubs love Ollie because it helps them manage their club and accelerate the development of their coaches and players. Every soccer club talks about their focus on development, but nobody actually measures it until now. We've developed the capability for every one of your teams to easily capture pro-level game stats in real time using a mobile phone. It's one thing at the end of the day to look up the results for your club, but how valuable would it be for directors to actually see how each team played? How well did a team possess the ball and control the game? How well did they create dangerous chances inside the box? How did your top players perform? And how is each coach improving from week to week? Ollie provides this powerful data through a club dashboard that shows club results and lets you drill down into any game or player. Ollie also includes team and club management that lets you communicate instantly with coaches, parents, and players, and lets directors see every club event so they can easily coordinate visits to matches and training sessions. It's got everything you need in one simple app. Reach out to us to get your club started today.
We're going to try and win this thing. We're going to go for it, right? You're watching your team, you're watching them play, you're watching them practice. Is this a team you thought at the beginning of the year was going to be there at the end?
Yes. And honestly, I told my team this, and I told a lot of people this. It wasn't unexpected. I think we have a top program. I was actually pretty disappointed that we hadn't won one up until now. I think we've had some great years before, 2016, 2017, 18, even 21. 19, where things just didn't click. They didn't work out for us at the end of the season, where we had great seasons and didn't work out. But this year, everything came together, and to be honest, it wasn't unexpected.
Okay. No, and that's good. I mean, like, you know, you think about it. You said there's lots of times you watch, and we had Todd Hugh here a few weeks ago, and there was a year that his team did not make it all the way to a state final, and that was the team that he said was the better team that he thought was going to go. And then when they won it, and maybe not been the better team he had, but that's sometimes how it shakes out.
Join Evolution Soccer Training for Finishing Fridays. Every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m., players will receive specialized training dedicated to enhancing your ability to score goals. As we know, John, goals mean everything in the game. So visit evolutionperformancetraining.com and use promo code MSN10 to get 10% off your session today.
As we continue this conversation, I asked a question before the break. I think it's a good one. It's going to put Steve on the spot, and maybe even you there at home or wherever you're watching us right now across the world, and especially here in Michigan, is, what's the percentage of loyalty that these community-based teams have, their fan base? Like I said right now, if you are a soccer fan, not a community fan, a soccer fan, I don't think a Midwest Premier League UPSL team is going to be, UWS, is going to be where you're going to want to put your loyalty to if an MLS team comes to Michigan. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't diehard community-based fans. I'm looking at this from the standpoint of averages. Right now, looking at these teams as a whole, what is the percentage of loyalty to a community-based team in a fan base? Is it 25%? Is it 40%? Is it more than 50%?
I think we have to kind of look at, we talk about here on the overlap and kind of how some of these things cross over into other parts of our lives and other parts of life. And you look at the success of a TV show like Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
You look at the success of a TV show in Wrexham. Welcome to Wrexham. I know more people that love and watch these shows that don't go to Detroit City games that now have invested interest in these two types of very small, one fictional club and one fifth-tier team in Europe, in England.
Soon to be not a fifth-tier team, right?
Right. They're making a real headway. Had a great run in the FA Cup. Rumored to be coming here next summer. Honestly, John, I think it's over 50%. I think it's 60 to 70%. And I know that you and I may see differently on this, but I truly feel there is more people that care about their small clubs than they do the big clubs. Obviously here, because we don't have that big club, and we talked about this from the get-go, the disconnect to MLS is because we've never had a reason to care.
Yeah.
We've never had a reason to say, oh, we have a Detroit team that I should have interest in. It's one thing, and it's kind of like we talked about, we've mentioned off air before about, how do you pick your Premier League team when we're all from afar, right? And so you pick up for different reasons. Well, when you're here, if you want to pay attention to MLS, you got to pick a team, and maybe it's, you look at the map here and you go regionally and you go, all right, Chicago, Columbus, Cincinnati, but Cincinnati didn't join until 2019.
And they were a USL team that had a huge fan base.
4 years ago, right? So they joined. So there's not a whole lot regionally. So you start looking at players or success or original. I mean, you look at the original 10 teams: Colorado, Columbus, DC, Dallas, LA, New England, the Red Bulls, San Jose, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Nothing regionally that Detroit fans could latch onto. Now, yeah, there were players in the league. You had plenty of U.S. men's national team players. So originally, it's very difficult for Michigan-based fans to be attracted to the league in general. And then the amount of times in the last 27 years that there has been expansion in 98, 05, 06, 07, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, and you've had no Detroit team.
No.
So the disrespect, the way that when I talk to soccer fans from this state, screw MLS. Like, that's how they're approached, because it's like, and again, it's probably not all on MLS, right? Detroit has to come with the right proposition, the right bid to meet the requirements to fit. But the average fan doesn't see that. The average fan doesn't hear that, and so they just don't care.
Yeah.
And so when it comes down to, if you were saying, my loyalty towards a small club, now personally, yes, do I want to go watch higher level soccer? Of course I do. That's why I disagree that we would fill up a stadium in a heartbeat. The amount of soccer fans in the communities of the international communities that live here in Detroit, unbelievable. We would get people to go, 100%. We could get thousands of people.
You would be
again.
filling up a Detroit soccer stadium more so, I think, in the summer than baseball.
Because there's 100%, and because there's more fans here that actually care about high level soccer, and that's the reason they don't go to a DCFC game, and they don't go to do a Flint City Buck game, and they won't go to other clubs that play. Not because they don't necessarily enjoy going to watch live soccer, is they prefer to want to watch the highest level that they possibly can, and they know that is not it.
Yeah,
like it or not, the environment, the entertainment value, sure. You can't match that, in my opinion. You go to a DCFC game and it rivals what you'd find in Europe, as far as the intensity, the singing, the chants, the involvement. And so I think there's a very large percentage. I would put it at anywhere from 65 to 70% of people. Yes, they may still support an MLS team, but it won't be their number one. It won't be, and unless you have that direct correlation or give the fans a reason to want to care. There's been too much time built of soccer fans in this country over the last 27, almost 30 years, where you've given Detroit fans no reason to care. And so why not latch on to a team that I can go see, that I can tangibly feel and feel involved with, and care about that more. And it doesn't, because the bigger picture sport, MLS has been, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of people picking holes at MLS's business strategy and how they go about business, and that's become very public. It's not something that's hidden in the shadows of the behind the scenes. This is what MLS does, and this, that, and the other. So I think more people are aware. More people are just not gonna fully embrace it until it becomes maybe too hard not to.
So We Are Soccer says 20% is so low they wouldn't go elsewhere. Now, here's the thing. We have I would say an intimate look, maybe an outsider look into a lot of these clubs. If we just take Detroit City for a second, just kind of slide it over here and look at all these other community-based clubs. None of them, if you added them all up, would equal what currently goes to a game at Keyworth. Is that fair? I mean,
for the most part, yeah. There's teams that have drawn big crowds here and there are some clubs that are drawing more and more and doing their darndest to up those numbers.
If I were to say to fill Keyworth Stadium, 7,000 people, looking at all the leagues that we have been a part of and been to, I find it hard pressed that they have a fan base enough to fill the entire stadium combined, right? So the percentage that we're talking about, it's not a very big percentage.
Sure.
Right. So I do. While I asked that question, I thought it was important. Is mainly the important question was for a DCFC. If 20% of their fan base is loyal, they would never go anywhere else. What is that? 6,000. That's 1,200 fans.
No, that's unfair.
No, but I'm saying that's 1,200.
You're talking about game day showing.
No, I'm just saying 1,200. I'm just saying 1,200 fans. I'm just looking at a game standpoint. 1,200 fans that are going to come. If they're season ticket holders, they're going to stick around. They're not going anywhere.
I think that's a low number because I don't think their fan base.
I'm basing on the 20%.
Their fan base doesn't include 7,000 people. Their fan base includes well over 15,000, 20,000 people, if not more.
Fair.
And so you talk about 20% of that as far as being loyal, because I've gone to plenty of games. Didn't get a chance to go to a single game last year. Schedules, this, that, and the other. Didn't get a chance to go to a game.
Yeah,
I can still consider myself a fan of the game, a fan of the team, but didn't make it out. So I get where you're coming from. I do think, yes, there's a good portion, and probably close to 20% that would never go anywhere else. And I think there's going to be people that will balance, and people that will go to MLS, and people that will still come. I think what will hurt are some of the even smaller clubs.
Oh yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, there's going to be other clubs. Won't try to name.
But to be
clubs,
fair,
I think there will just be other clubs that will have to find new ways to operate, because it will be difficult to get even the fans that they're getting it now.
But to be fair, though, if you think about the other clubs, and we're going to go to break here in a second, but the other clubs, I don't know if like a Livonia City or a Lansing Common or anyone in the UPSL in these leagues really would have to worry about the competitive aspect of losing anything, because these games don't take place at the same time. For the most part, Detroit City FC games on a Saturday, most of those games take place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A good chunk of them, or 1 o'clock now. Some take place at 7. They're on the road. They play what, 40 games a season now, give or take. So I think that there'd be some competitive, but again, these seasons operate, these leagues operate in a 2-month window. The MLS operates in now an 8-9 month window, right? So I think I'm not sure if those, like the Lansing Commons of the world, would really suffer from having an MLS team. I think the one that would suffer is if it's not Detroit City FC getting its own MLS team. I think they're the ones that take the biggest hit. I really do, and it's not, again, nothing against the product they put in the field or what they do, because they do a fantastic job. I just think that's the way it would be. I just think it's the way it'd be. But well, either way, we're going to continue this conversation about feeling disconnected from the MLS. We have a poll right now on Twitter. We're going to talk about that when we come back from break. Before we do, though, Georgia's Soccer Supply, your one-stop shop for all your soccer needs since 1978. 1978. My goodness, it's a long time. I've been a staple of the soccer community in Troy for a long time. Today, our name and reputation as a leading retailer in the market has stood the test of time. It's amazing and rewarding to have the trillion of players come in that we were our original customers back in the day. I bought my cleats from Georgia Soccer and my gloves. Scan the QR code on your screen, visit georgiasoccer.com, or call 248-528-2948 and save 10% off your order by saying MSN10. Don't go nowhere. Come back here. Disconnected from the MLS. We'll find out. We're watching the Morning Overlap, the Michigan Soccer Network.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. We help players develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills, receiving and finishing from different situations such as volleys, headers, one touch, and off the dribble, with and without pressure. In addition, we help players increase their speed of play, dominate with their off-the-ball movement, awareness of space, defenders, and teammates. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, as well as large groups and team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country. We've also developed one of the most detail-oriented training programs to help out players. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. For more information, visit our website, evolutionperformancetraining.com, or text or call 248-818-3943.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
Call or two, or they think they saw something, and then that kid from that team goes into a tackle extra hard, and now his emotion, he gets up pushing and shoving, and so there's sometimes those things can transpire and push themselves into the game, which is not what we want. And of course,
Steve, we have our first phone call.
We got a phone call.
We have a phone call.
Oh, well, well, John, I mean, if we got a phone call, we should probably take the phone call.
So thank you for calling in here to the Overlap Show here with Steve and Jon. Who we have on the line?
Yeah, it's Jacob Little.
Well, Jacob Little. There.
Oh, he even put his whole name out there. I was expecting John from Detroit just to call and be safe.
He's gonna say first time, long time is what he's gonna say.
Welcome in, Jacob.
So welcome into the show. Your comments here on parents being better or worse.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter.
I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
To do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club.
Join today, starting at just $24.99 a month.
Ollie Live Sports, the official live game stat provider for MSN. The youth sports culture is toxic because we only measure success by wins and losses. 70% of kids quit playing by the age of 13. As a result, Ollie Sports is changing the youth sports experience with meaningful positive data for every player in every game. Scan the QR code or head to the Apple or Google Play Store and download the app for free.
We welcome you back now here into Premier Sports Center studio here in Shelby Township. John Turner, Steve Best, continuing this conversation disconnected from the MLS. This is directed towards Michigan, and I imagine anyone out there who doesn't necessarily live in Michigan but lives in a state where there isn't an MLS team and a very, very big soccer following. We put a poll out there this morning on our Twitter handle, Twitter page, whatever you want to call it, profile. Hey, Michigan, do you feel disconnected from the MLS? Closest we have is Detroit City FC, and they are great for the city and state. Thoughts? So far, 77% of you say that you do feel disconnected. And again, it's rightfully so. I think if you are a Lions fan or a Tigers fan or a Pistons fan, I think at some point in time when it comes to like championship connection, to playoff success, right now I think this city, this state is really feeling disconnected from the success path that we have had here in the past. I mean, looking back to 2001, early 2000s, the Tigers were terrible. And then for a period of about 8 years, the Tigers were very good. We're going to a couple World Series, right? Winning some championships. The Pistons, again, in the early 2000s, got good, went to back-to-back championships. Won one, lost one, right? Had some success. Since then, right? And the Lions, have just always kind of been like, I don't know, like anyway, okay, anyways, very like this, like that, right? And the Red Wings, they were like, my goodness, they 23, 25 straight years of making the playoffs, winning championships. So, I mean, we as a city have especially for the last 5-6 years, have really had nothing to really be proud of, and the only team that has won anything professionally in this state in the last half decade has been Detroit City FC. And if you want to go into even a little further, which might even upset DCFC, is saying the Stars won NISA last year. That's another team that here locally. But again, it gets to the disconnect between what these leagues are and what they mean and what professional is and what they aren't. I really think that makes it more difficult to really get behind teams. But, the thing, and this is what I want to end this show with this morning, and we'll continue this conversation, Steve, is that Detroit City FC is not going to go anywhere if an MLS team comes to town. Like, that's not going to be the thing. But if we look at the expansion teams in the last 5 years, they are all expansion teams with a team or where it has a following. Cincinnati, following, right? St. Louis, following, right? All of these teams have a following. I think Miami is an expansion team. I don't know if they had a following.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
they were just
sure
from
if
scratch.
they were not. I know it's the David Beckham Inter Miami project, but I'm not sure if there was a club down there that they've kind of bought or moved into. I'm not sure of that at all. So
Nashville following, right? So we look at that and say there's a following. So it would be in the best interest of both Michigan and the MLS if there could be somehow found a way to make Detroit City FC into exactly what we would want it to be. And I know that there are fans out there that say, hey, you know what, Detroit City FC being an MLS team is not right. But I'm sitting here saying, I mean, you can't be afraid of going bigger. And to be fair, at some point, I mean, we've talked about this. At some point in time, Detroit City FC is going to be at a turning point where they're going to say, we're staying at Keyworth forever, and we're happy bringing in 7,000 fans, or we're going to have to go someplace bigger. You just can't stay at the same place as 7,000 fans and expect to bring and be competitive, and especially when all these other teams that across this country are going to be. Indy 11 is building $1 billion stadium and then the USL Championship, $1 billion stadium proposal on the table. 20,000 people going to those games. So how can a team like Detroit City FC compete in a league if they aren't going to have 20,000 people going to games if every other team does? So at some point in time, something's going to give, and that's a decision that's going to have to be made. And my hope is that, if MLS comes knocking, Detroit City's like, let's do this, because that's the logical step here in Michigan. And it makes, I think it makes it for a better thing. And then we're all connected. Right? It connects the dots. I'm curious your thoughts, of those watching, keeping in mind that this is available on all listing platforms here after the show. But Steve, what your final thoughts here as we get ready to wrap up here our 8th episode?
Yeah, I think there's so many behind the scenes things that have to happen for an MLS team to get to Detroit. A lot of things that have to be in place, stadium and such. I just really wish and hope that it can get done, and how it gets done. I'm past the point of caring on how or who or what it is, because to me, I would just want to have a more interest in that domestic league. It's as much as I care about a league across the pond in the Premier League, I would love to care about a local team here that I could support that was playing at the highest level within the country. So I don't know when that will happen, if it'll happen. Fingers crossed that we see something through here, but the disconnect is real. I think I think you can find it on all levels about how that really does play out here in this state, and again, because of that no team there, that disconnect it definitely grows year by year. And if you missed any of our conversation, don't forget you can catch our shows on demand anytime after on YouTube as well. We'll be available on all listening platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So please click, share, follow, like, do all those good things. Show us that you care.
And now he's saying it. Look at that. Normally it's me saying, if you don't care, you're not liking us. So that's
there you go.
And it's true. It's true to the fullest level. I want to remind everybody our high school schedule will be releasing here soon. All the high school games will be covering it. We're building a really cool schedule and trying to give a lot of places across the state of Michigan an opportunity to be seen in our network. I remember we started this whole thing with live soccer broadcast, and that will always be the staple for what we do. That will not change. These conversations, if there's a conversation that you want to hear from Steve and I about soccer here in Michigan, by all means, let's put it on the table. The reality is that soccer is the best sport in the world. I love my football as far as like the Lions and things like that, even though that sounds sad to say. I do love football because of it's a different experience. But, being around soccer my entire life, soccer is the best sport in the world. And it can other countries fight and have wars over soccer, and that's all you need to know. That's all you have to say about that. So, but if you have a conversation, you want us to tackle something, by all means, please do so. You can follow us on MI Soccer Network on all social media platforms. Sponsors of our shows. We have sponsors that we're looking to continue to add. We just read them off a bunch here today. You can check those out. There's actually a link in our comments section during the show here. The links to get to access to all of our sponsors and check out what they have to offer, especially if you live here locally. And as we bring in more and more national brands in, you'll have an opportunity to shop around them as well. So, But either way, that is all she wrote here for us on this Thursday morning. Steve, any final thoughts here before we get the heck out of here?
No, I think we had a nice little MLS discussion today, and looking forward to where that conversation goes, and next week what we got coming up on the program.
Well, next week we got coming up with some good shows here. Monday night we continue our champion series with high school soccer. Josh Hickey will join us here in studio from the Rochester Adams Highlanders. They won Division I boys soccer this past fall. Had a chance to cover a couple of their games during that run. And then next week, Tuesday and Thursday, we'll be back here at the Morning Overlap. Our college commitment series continues tomorrow. We have Owen Bokalak. I interviewed him this past week. He'll be out tomorrow morning on our network. I have more interviews lined up, a couple more really cool interviews coming our way in the pipeline. Getting ready for our high school ranking show here in April, which is really exciting. along with a number of other new and exciting things. Coming up March 19th, the Tilly sisters, their journey, our journey will finally be edited and ready to go by the 19th of March. And our first game is getting underway here later this month on the 25th, and we'll talk about that here as well. But that'll do it. That is what we would say ringing the bell, so to speak, here of this morning overlap on the second day of March 2023. Steve Best, John Turner. We appreciate you stopping by. Best way you can support what we do: subscribe, follow, share, like. Tell your friends, tell your families. Call in when we have our call number back on the line. But remember, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Take a look at it, listen to us on all the listening platforms that your heart desires. And we will be back here on Monday night with MSN Weekly. From all of us here at the Michigan Soccer Network, have a great one. See you next time.
Thank you.